All right, the Texans are 5-1. They dominate the Patriots. I saw some headlines said that they dominated the Patriots. We'll get into that. It is SNL. Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. We're with you every day, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock for Reaction Monday, 9 o'clock Tuesday through Thursday, and then we react to the final injury report at 4 p.m. Subscribe to our personal channels as well. We got you covered. Best Texans coverage you can get. Biggest takeaways from the win against the Patriots. Let's start with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon returns. You asked this question: how much higher is the ceiling and the floor with Joe Mixon wearing a Texans uniform on the field?
They are such a better football team with Joe Mixon on the field, and we knew that there was going to be an improvement with Mixon, but man, some of the stuff he does is just effortless compared to how difficult and how hard it was to watch them run the football the previous few weeks. He just makes some stuff look effortless. One of the things I love about him is he's not afraid to just run into offensive linemen when they're supposed to have the hole blocked. Like, I trust Mixon to know what to do and to have the right vision and go to where the hole's supposed to be, and then he punishes offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and linebackers alike when they're in his way. And then, man, he showed some incredible agility in this game, which bodes well for the long-term health of that ankle that he's dealing with. Had one of his longest rushes of his career. He's one of only, I think, 8 players to go over 20 miles per hour on a rush this season. He was flying in this game, and they didn't even use him the whole game. Like, they were managing
15 touches.
They were managing his reps throughout the game, and so he wasn't even on the field as much as he probably could have been, and he still was extremely effective for this team. They are a much better offense, and they feel like they can throw the ball easier because you actually have to care about them running the football. And you just saw a tremendous amount of impact, not only when Mixon has the ball in his hands, but just him being on the field and the threat of Joe Mixon as well.
And I think there's an extra element. I don't have some sort of measuring stick. I know there's a lot of advanced stats. I don't have like the measuring stick for what kind of edge Joe Mixon brings. I just hear him talk and I see the way he interacts on the field, and I see the way his teammates appear to act when he's on the field. I mean, there was a lot of hollering, there was a lot of screaming, there was a lot of extra emotion yesterday. You saw it from Mixon, you saw it from Tank Dell, you saw it from Diggs, you saw it from Mario Edwards, and I just think whenever a guy goes in there and it just puts out the alpha display that Joe Mixon puts out whenever he speaks or anything like that, there does seem to be kind of just like it's contagious. And I think when you have guys like Mixon and Stefon Diggs on top of what they do in the stat sheet, I think the fact that they've gone through what you're trying to go through. Like, a lot of times you bring in guys and it's like, okay, well, this guy has won a Super Bowl, so this guy is the guy that knows what it takes to get there. These guys know what this battle is like. They know what it's like to come up short. So you actually have these guys kind of trying to do the same thing. They don't feel entitled. They're not talking about, I have a championship, you don't. They're trying to get that championship. And it just feels like Joe Mixon, not only is there an element that the run game is better, the pass game is better, there just seems to be, can't measure it, some sort of like extra element and extra emotion that Joe Mixon brings to where a potential sleepwalk in New England or sleeping on New England or a trap game in New England just doesn't seem to be a possibility.
One thing I love about Mixon too is he has that he bounced one outside and it was one man to beat. And if he beats that man, it's probably a touchdown. And that guy tackled him. And Mixon got up and he was furious at himself. Like, you could see, like, he was like demonstrably angry that he didn't beat that one guy. There was a play where it looked, I don't remember exactly who it was, but somebody fell off their block and that guy tackled Mixon for no gain. He got up and like looked at the guy and like said something to him. It's like the accountability, the energy, and just he is never satisfied. It feels like even when he has like a 9-yard run, he gets up and he's like hitting the ball and he's like, man, I could have had more almost. Like, I just love the mentality that he brings. And to your point, like, as you started to talk about like, hey, guys with experience, guys that have been there, I kept thinking about Ed Reed. Ed Reed had the hardware already when he got to Houston.
Done. Yeah.
And he was done physically.
Yeah.
Like, no hardware for Stefon Diggs, no hardware for Joe Mixon, and they've been really close. I mean, Mixon's been, super close. Diggs has been right there a couple of times close to playing in the Super Bowl with the success they had in Buffalo, and just that the never satisfied feeling that it feels like both those guys have. It sort of permeates to the rest of the team.
Get it out of the way. I know you're going to do it. Just get it out of the way, Cody. I know
Get
this is
what out of
coming.
the way? I don't know what you're talking about.
I know this is coming. Get it out of the way. The run game. I could already hear you after the game saying, well, 2 of the carries were 113 yards. Outside of those 2 carries, this is the yardage you had. I know this is coming from you. Don't hide it.
I was disappointed with the first half rushing outside of the big Mixon run. Okay, so first half rushing outside of they rushed 13 times for 81 yards with running backs. That's 6.2 yards per carry. That's awesome. You can kill everybody in the NFL when you're rushing that way. But when you take out the 59-yard Joe Mixon run, they ran 12 times for 22 yards, which is 1.8 yards per carry. So you want, to use an analogy here, you want your car to be able to get you to work every day, not just be able to get you on vacation. So, you want it to be reliable. The rushing attack wasn't reliable in the first half. Now, they threw the ball really well because they had established that you had to pay attention to the run, and Joe Mixon's back there. They also threw the ball to Mixon as well. But there were still some moments in the rushing attack. And look, 2 limited practices with Joe Mixon. This offensive line's got to get reused to him after he's been gone, and they've got to kind of fine-tune some things. And they eventually got going there in the second half. Even when Pierce was in there, there was a couple of moments where he was rattling off, 5 yards a carry before his big one. But there were still some moments where, and this isn't a Mixon thing, it was the offensive line still wasn't quite where you want it to be, particularly those 3 guys on the interior. But you can still see that there's room for improvement on this rushing attack, in addition to, hey, they had a pretty darn good day on the ground, which is pretty exciting for the long-term presence of this ability to run the football.
So if I asked you and I said, okay, the run, your thoughts on the run game now versus before noon yesterday, what would you say? What if I asked you to give me one word to describe how you feel about the run game now versus how you felt about it before you saw what went down yesterday?
It's effective. It was ineffective prior to that. It's effective now.
I don't think this is an elite run game. I think it's can be a really, really good one with Joe Mixon. I thought it was good to get to see Dameon Pierce, and that was actually what I wanted to see. I wanted to see if they try to get him going and his confidence. You got to think, you find the end zone in the manner in which Pierce did, your confidence level goes up a little bit. He does appear to be RB2. Akers was wearing a jacket most of the game until he came in at the end. So he's RB2 when it comes to the running option. Dare is basically your receiving running back. So I feel better. I'll put it this way. I feel better in large part because of Mixon, but I also think Dameon Pierce might be able to get his confidence up. Now, how effective is that going to make him? Who knows? But I think the confidence level can go up when you find the end zone in the manner in which he did. So I will, that's how I will say. I will say more confident, little bit more confident than I was heading into Sunday.
That's fair. I mean, and you should be. You should be. Even, just 28 on the field is more dangerous before you even run the play, before you even actually snap the football. Teams have to care more because it's Joe Mixon versus any of the other running backs, including Pierce. But your point about his confidence, and that had to feel so good for him after the terrible season last year, starting this year with an injury. I mean, Pierce taking that one in the end zone. And I think if it was a closer game, they might have called it back. But they kind of let it go because it's a close game.
It is SNL Reaction Monday. We're getting into everything going on with the Texans, with you, the people. Appreciate y'all in the chat. A lot of people talking about the picnic blanket shirt. I think this shirt's clean. I've had this shirt. I've had this shirt for a while.
Nice.
I won't say what brand it is because I don't know if that's been canceled or not. But I'll just say I got this. I got this a good 10, 12, 13 years ago. It's sharp, dude. I actually think it's pretty sick.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it's a real nice shirt. Yeah.
It feels like a fair shirt. I know you were at the fair this weekend.
It's a little like Texas OU flair. You don't go around rocking the orange. But yeah, it's It's a classic. I'll put it
It's
that
nice.
way.
Yeah,
Used
no,
to
it's
be a
nice.
big brand.
Was
The
it
founder,
affliction or something? Is there a giant angel on the back?
nah. The founder of the brand may be in a little bit of trouble right now.
Oh no. Well, that doesn't reflect on the clothes. I mean, the clothes are the
Oh,
clothes.
little Sean John. Sure. Shout out to P. Diddy. Or don't.
Oh, did you get that in your gift bag at the party?
No, I wasn't at the party, man. I wasn't at the party. That is for damn sure. So I want to get into the offense without Nico Collins.
Yes.
Let's break down the offense without Nico Collins because I have some thoughts on this, and I'll just start here. I'll just go position by position, and I'll exclude the offensive line because we can talk about the offensive line in like a whole separate issue. We've already discussed what we think of the running backs. The ceiling, the floor is much higher with Joe Mixon. I thought it was encouraging to see that Stefon Diggs and Tank Dell really did everything that you asked them to do. There wasn't like when doing the grades, and the grades are going to drop today at noon because it's an interesting schedule today. We're going to have a hell of a lot of downtime at the stadium because there's going to be 3 players at the podium, and then DeMeco Ryans will be there. So we'll drop those grades then. But I think the receivers did whatever they were called upon to do. I was especially impressed with Tank Dell. I think Tank Dell made a lot of big plays. I actually think the most underrated play of the game, and I know that this is kind of maybe didn't matter, but at the end of the game when New England quickly cut the lead to 13 on Drake May's 3rd touchdown pass, there was a 3rd down where if the Texans don't convert, they're going to have to punt to New England. And New England, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would have been interested in that drive because had New England scored, all of a sudden the Texans aren't covering the 6.5, 7, whatever you bet them at. But I also think there was like a certain danger zone because I think the Texans defense was kind of getting stripped down. All the linebackers were hurt. The safeties were kind of getting exposed a little bit. And Drake May was finding a little bit of a rhythm. And instead, Tank Dell, he ran a route. CJ Stroud thread the needle, 1st down. And on the very next play, I want to say it was the next play or it was shortly after, Dameon Pierce runs for the 50-plus yard touchdown. So I thought that was big for a number of reasons. Number one, it ended any glimmer of hope for New England. Number two, it allowed Dameon Pierce to find the end zone and perhaps build on that previously mentioned confidence. So the wide receivers, we've at least seen. This is the good thing about this. This is the point I really want to make. We've at least seen all 3 of these wide receivers display really, really good chemistry with CJ Stroud. Now, we haven't seen it at the same time, but we've seen it done with each of those guys. So when Nico Collins comes back, if he can get that type of chemistry with all 3 guys, then I think you're in a really good spot. I want to talk about the tight end, though. And it seems like there's been kind of a shift. And I don't know if you're feeling this on your channel, but in my channel and on my Twitter streets and on the streets that I deal with when it comes to the Texans, it seems like, at least for this week, the frustration of the first place fan
5-1. First
Yeah.
place, 5-1. Top of the AFC, except for the Kansas City Chiefs, Houston Texans fan base frustration of the week is
Dalton Schultz. It seems like there is a frustration. It's gone from Bobby Slowik to Dalton Schultz. I don't think too many people are upset with Bobby. I don't know if people think he called a great game or not, but it does seem like the frustration. And I appreciate the frustration. I appreciate don't ignore in victory what you wouldn't ignore in defeat. Shout out to Jeff Van Gundy. But there does seem to be a little bit of frustration with Dalton Schultz. Do you think that frustration is valid?
Not really. Not really. I mean, are there a couple of plays that you would – I mean, he was targeted 8 times. He was the 2nd most targeted player for the Texans in this game. And, you could assign blame however you want. Should he have made a different play, or was there a different play to make on the interception? Okay, maybe. Could he have caught that one that hit his hands where it was a little bit out in front of him? Okay, maybe. I'm not sitting here acting like, Dalton Schultz had some awful, terrible game. I mean, the tight ends are not the focal point. When the ball gets to them, a lot of times it's because, the first couple of reads aren't there, or Schultz has shown CJ as he's kind of scanning the field something like that's – I mean, Schultz looked like he almost won that route there in the end zone. The DB made a really nice play, got his hand in there. Even if the ball was on Schultz, I still think the DB knocks it away. It was a little, I guess, behind Schultz, maybe. CJ rolled out a little bit to him. Look, was it a great game for Dalton Schultz? No, I'd be stupid if I told you that, but it wasn't like some horrible, terrible, oh my God, play Cade Stover and Team Quintiriano instead performance.
No, I don't think anyone's going to go that far. I think Schultz is the best option you got. I've said this before about Dalton Schultz a while. Like, if you're a body language guy, then you're not going to like Dalton Schultz. Like, if you judge guys on body language, you're not going to like Dalton Schultz. It's not a real fluid game. It's solid. A lot of times he'll surprise you. The Tennessee game last year where he snatched the Case Keenum pass, but a lot of times he'll disappoint you. There were a couple. I still, it just feels like that was an opportunity to make a play in the end zone, and at the very least, it be incomplete. It just felt like there should have been a little bit more aggressiveness going up and trying to get that. There was also a third down. It looked like CJ was frustrated where he only reached one hand out. Would have been a hell of a catch one-handed, but you could tell CJ was a little frustrated. Also, let's be honest, he could probably make that one-handed catch. So the standard as a receiver that Dalton Schultz has. There's that. Stover also had
one more thing on Schultz. There was also a play where it looked like maybe him and CJ weren't on the same page as to what route it was going to be. It was during that lull that the Texans had there in the second quarter, and Stroud just kind of airmailed it, and it was like, and Stroud kind of looked at Schultz like, I don't know if I saw that right or you did that right, but I wonder if there was a slight miscommunication there. Which, hey, there was a miscommunication against Buffalo that DeMeco Ryans talked about there late in the game that led to the grounding. So maybe just a hiccup there as well from Schultz and CJ.
Yeah, I also think maybe he's a little more hurt than he's saying. Who knows? But there was also a Stover play. I think it would have been like a 4-yard gain on first down or something like that. He probably could have had the catch as well. But I didn't think the tight ends were great, to say the least. And it just seems like there was opportunity for Dalton Schultz to make a couple plays that he didn't make. The offensive line, I guess they were fine. Not awesome. I guess fine.
I mean, they were fine would be a good way to put it. Still, a decent amount of pressure on CJ Stroud on some of these passing plays and still some hiccups in the rushing attack. But that may be where this offensive line, I'll tell you what, man, Kenyon Green's not very good. I mean, he's
hurt too, though, man. I mean, I'm not trying to give him any excuses, but he's very hurt too.
I mean, well, then they need to have an assessment on when he's going to be healthy, because week 1 against Indianapolis, he was awesome. He had all the film nerds, drooling over him, and then it's been a steady decline from there. And I'm not going to sit here and act like Juice Scruggs and Shaq Mason were awesome either. There's so much pressure that shows up from the interior of this offensive line that you watch the play back and you're like, what happened? Like, how does there were plays where Kenyon Green blocks nobody. There are plays where Shaq Mason blocks nobody. Like, how does that happen? Is the protection slid the wrong way? Is the play call such that, they're looking at a place where the pressure is not coming, but there shouldn't be this much interior pressure. There was one play. It was the third down during the lull there where CJ Stroud got sacked, and the defender just kind of keeps slowly moving, and he just splits Juice Scruggs and Kenyon Green. And I'm just like, how did 2 guys get split by some Patriots defender that we never heard of? And then there's some practice squad guy that makes a play. Like, what's going on here?
It looked like there was one of those the basic little stunt seemed to kind of appear on one play. I think it was 15 who made the play for New England, and then there was the Juice Scruggs you're talking about. They called it a coverage sack on the broadcast. By the way, does Trent Green talk a lot? Like, I know you're supposed to as an analyst. Is he pissed or something? Like, did the refs like take his daughter on a date? Like, what is going on with he hates the refs. What's going on with Trent Green? Why is he so mad?
Man, I thought he had a pretty bad day yesterday from a broadcaster standpoint.
They were just, he seemed very grumpy. But by the way, Kevin Harlan's freaking awesome. So there is that. And they're a good team. They're a good team. It just seemed like yesterday, I've listened to Trent a lot. I was like, why does he hate these referees so much? Like, he hated those refs. They were under a microscope the whole time. Yep. DeRhino swarming the super chat.
Swarm.
Says, morning, fellas. Couple positives I had. 1, no big lineman penalties. 2, Townsend looked better. 3, Sims was trying to save his job. Super chat. Appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate
Steven
you,
Sims
DeMeco.
had the 19-yard return, which
Nice.
was his longest return of the season. Then he was just kind of Steven Sims. There was a couple times where he fair caught it, where it was like guys were 10 yards away, and then it seemed like Steven Sims is really weird because
he had one of those where he caught it and the ball kind of went boop, and then he kind of grabbed it again. Like he had one of those later.
The weird thing here's what I've noticed about Steven Sims. This is what I've noticed about Steven Sims. Jake going to the super chat as well. Appreciate you. We love you. We love you. So the thing I've noticed about Steven Sims is he's almost like the he's almost like the guy who whenever he's in trouble, he's on his best behavior. And then as soon as he gets out of the doghouse, he goes back to his old ways. And I'll use this example. So he gets benched a couple of weeks ago, and then he gets put back in the game and he gets a 10-yard return. And it's like, okay, wow, Steven Sims really got the message. He got a 10-yard return. Good for Steven Sims. Then later on in that game, Steven Sims, he picks up a 15-yard penalty and gets benched again, and we don't see him for an entire week. Then Robert Woods gets hurt. He gets back in the lineup, and on the very first return after being out of the doghouse, he gets a 19-yard return, which is the best return of his career. And then he goes back to being Steven Sims. Like it's like you threat. He does it. It's like he gets it initially, and then as soon as he gets it, he goes back to being what he was. It's almost like he's just saying, all right, I'll give you one, and then I'm going to go back to doing me and start feeling myself. That's what just watching. Maybe it's not like a mental schematics. I'm not saying this from like a Steven Sims is a conniving, calculated guy.
I see what you're saying.
I'm talking about his actual actions and the actual results. When he's in the doghouse, the very first play after being in the doghouse is productive, and then he just goes back to being why he got in the doghouse in the first place.
Yes, it's it is a frustrating watch, and I would assume that as soon as Robert Woods is healthy enough to play, the Houston Texans are going to put Robert Woods back there and not Steven Sims.
Really? So we're going back to Woods. Yeah, I would assume so too. I would very much assume so as well. But that was crazy. Let's get down to the defense, and I think for the defense we got to start at the D line. Let's talk about this performance by the defensive line. There's an obvious, and then I think there's something that I think needs to be mentioned that we'll get to in a sec. I'll let you start with the obvious. You can be Captain Obvious. Go ahead and talk about the player of the game on the D line.
I mean, Will Anderson. This was set to show up here any day now for Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. When you have as much quarterback pressure as they bring, and the pressure percentage that they have, and what they can do. When they came into the week, Danielle Hunter had the most quarterback pressures in football. You saw what he did when he annihilated May and forced the fumble. And then Will Anderson came in. He was, around the top 10, top 12 in percentage and total pressures. And he just ran through guys three times. He just ran right through the tackles of the Patriots, and they were swapping sides. Anderson was on against the left tackle. He was on against the right tackle, so they were moving those guys around. But he just ran through guys and made some huge plays. He had that volleyball play where he knocked it up in the air. And then Eric Murray had one of the most incredible interceptions I've ever seen in my entire life.
And he reached around there, and he was engaged.
He did what?
He reached around. I mean, that's what he did. You pervert. He reached around and got that interception. I don't know how the hell he did that.
He initially pinned the football to the offensive player's back, and then somehow was able to hold it like a runner as he was headed to the ground. That was really impressive. But Anderson was a monster. He started the week 39th in sacks, and after the games yesterday, he's 6th in sacks.
And I do wonder if this becomes something where he just starts hoarding them. Now that he's gotten to the quarterback, now he might just start hoarding sacks. Like he might they might just pile up now. And sometimes it happens like that with Will Anderson. And I think that we've seen them getting close. And by the way, Danielle Hunter with the strip sack too yesterday. So the D line was all over the place.
Well, that's what happened it was 2020 or not 2020. It was 2021 for Nick Bosa. It was like he's close, boom, and then he kind of just took off and had a stretch there where he was just killing people.
Yeah, Will Anderson was fantastic, and quite frankly, some of the plays that he made that weren't sacks were fantastic. Yeah, the reach around INT was epic. Yeah, don't let Stoots minimize that.
He had that one. Anderson had that one play where he just cut down the offensive line and just blindsided the running back at one point. Like this, really incredible performance from him.
He was really, really damn good. Him. But I want to give some flowers to Mario Edwards. And I think Mario Edwards is symbolic for what you want on a football team. And I think he deserves a lot of credit. We've had conversations about how do you survive without Joe Mixon? Next man up. How are you gonna survive without Joe Mixon? Big drop off. Let's be honest. They were able to survive, and other guys outside of that position group were able to improve their game. And Dare Ogunbowale did some good things, but they were able to survive. Now we're talking about Nico Collins, and we're talking about how you got to survive without Nico Collins. We'll get into the linebackers and all that in a second. Mario Edwards, the way that he has held it down for DeMeco Autry in the absence of DeMeco Autry has been everything you would want and everything you need from a football team from the top to the bottom when it comes to next man up. You look up next man up in the Houston dictionary, there's a picture of Mario Edwards. This is a guy who's a 10-year vet, and you didn't expect much from this guy. I don't even know if when he got signed, people were like, oh, this guy's for sure going to be on the squad. I don't know that people thought that. And the day that it was announced, because I remember we were there, the day that it was announced later on in the day, I think it ended up happening around a couple hours after practice. But the day it was announced that Autry was going to be suspended for the 6 games, and I'll ask DeMeco Ryans if Autry's going to be back. So we'll get the clear word, unless there's been a report out there and someone's trying to guess.
Will Kunkel reported he'll be back this week.
Well, there you go. Will's been pretty solid. So there you go. Will works that field, man. Will works that field. All right. So yes, Autry will be back. What will the role be? The day in which he was announced as suspended, they actually changed Mario Edwards' position on the roster. Like he was listed as a D end and they put him as a DL. Maybe he would have played that anyways, but I thought it was just kind of symbolic where now all of a sudden you're expecting Mario Edwards to hold it down. And I don't know too many people that were confident. Now, if you were watching training camp and you saw the way that Mario Edwards looked, you probably thought there was a decent chance that he would play well. But even then, it was kind of like, damn, does this offensive line suck? Like, what's up with Mario Edwards? 2 sacks in the first 2 games, and he's just completely held it down. And I thought at the start of the second half of yesterday's game, there was like a different energy with Mario Edwards. Like the on-field mic was picking him up quite often. I don't know if he was like, this is my last half in this role or what. Who knows? But I say all that to say that Mario Edwards deserves a lot of credit for holding it down the manner in which he did when one of their prized off-season additions ended up getting suspended. He deserves a lot of credit.
I'd be so scared if I was a wide receiver taking a screen inside and Mario Edwards was chasing me. Like there was that play, I think it was Douglas caught a screen and he came back inside and Edwards just boom, collapsed him. He finished with tied for the team lead in tackles in this game. Really good job. Every one of his plays from an advanced metric was a negative play for the opposing offense. So fantastic. And I don't know that you're taking him necessarily out of the rotation. Maybe you change a couple of things here and there with Autry back, but he's played well enough that he's in the rotation. And they with Autry back, they all of a sudden have the ability to mix and match and do whatever the hell they want with that defensive line. You want to be run stop heavy, you've got guys to do that. You want to be a bit more sleek and pass rush centric, you've got the ability to do that. Like they've got the versatility to change things up on that defensive line as much as DeMeco Ryans wants to.
Bill O'Brien, Cody Stoots, same type of versatility. I have a different definition, but the Bill O'Brien, Cody Stoots version of the versatility
No,
Synchronized. A line like he was with Brian Game.
No, I mean, here's O'Brien would talk about versatility and guys couldn't do the job. Like I'm talking about guys that you could switch out players and do different things with the defensive line unit.
Patrick Ding says he wants to apologize to Aaron Wilson, who was not incorrect about perfect weather yesterday. Did Aaron predict the weather? Oh yeah, that was the joke where he said that it was going to be perfect weather.
That was Patrick's. That's Patrick's joke from Friday. That was good.
Okay. Yeah. Aaron has not gotten in the injury, but Will Kunkel unbeaten right now when it comes to that. But just some flowers for old Mario Edwards. Will Anderson as well, obviously. So that's the good. You want to move back a little bit?
Yeah, let's
go back from the D line. You want to go back to the linebackers right now?
Yeah, let's go to the linebackers.
Thought it was an A effort by the linebackers yesterday. I don't look. They're graded on a curve because there's only two of them. You think? But I thought Hewitt did a good job of filling in. Actually, led the team in tackles. That dude hits pretty damn hard. Al-Shaair had the forced fumble. Toto got hurt, but they hung in there. They're out there. They're thin, man. They're really thin at linebacker. And I actually thought I was actually impressed with their overall effort and fight as a unit, which, let's be honest, you really shouldn't expect a ton from. I thought they did a really good job yesterday.
This is a linebacker crew that was built on two guys, and hopefully you don't have to play the backups. And if you do have to go to the backups, you get a performance like you do out of Neville Hewitt. And they were ready to play Neville Hewitt a week ago with Azeez Al-Shaair going to the emergency room on Saturday night, not sure if he was going to be available against the Bills. Like they were ready to put Hewitt in there, and ultimately they didn't need him because Al-Shaair was healthy and he was able to play in that game. But you needed him on this one, and he filled in admirably. And he showed a little bit of this in the preseason. But again, it's, he was doing it against backups. It's not like he was out there as, a one in preseason. So you didn't know what to make of it. But it's Mario Edwards-esque because it's a veteran who's been around for a while, has like a certain role, and then you give him a little bit more, and he's successful with that little bit more. And they may need Neville Hewitt in the coming weeks, depending on how bad some of these injuries are at the linebacker spot. Because Christian Harris is not back this week, guys. Like he's not coming back this week. I know it's not official, but DeMeco Ryans will get asked about it today. But Christian Harris is the rescue is not on the way. The rescue is not on the way for Christian Harris. So
I think even when he practices, I don't know that necessarily means he's going to play that week. I don't think that's how it's going to go. Dom in Jersey says, gentle reminder, I'll be in the H in 24 days. Never want to see anyone get hurt, but will not miss Hutchinson that night. That was a big injury. That was one of the bigger potential non-QB injuries among contenders that you could possibly have. So yeah, that'll definitely make it a little bit easier against the Lions, depending on what the hell the Texans look like health-wise, which we'll get to in a sec. Derek says Azeez played an outstanding game while fighting through a knee injury. Look, me and Cody had the Blake Cashman versus Azeez Al-Shaair discussion. It wasn't really a line in the sand. I just don't think Cody Stoots respected what Blake Cashman did last year. Let's be honest. Al-Shaair has been better than Blake Cashman. And if you were going to talk about a weakness that Blake Cashman possesses, it was being able to play hurt. We saw Al-Shaair sick last week and played a game against the Buffalo Bills team that you really needed to beat. And then we saw him play this week when he had an injured knee. And not only did he go out there, he had the old boom punch right there. The Oscar De La Hoya punch, strip punch.
Man, that is I love when a linebacker goes out there and just it just times it up perfectly and punches it away. We saw that like 4 or 5 times this week in the NFL with the Thursday Night Football. Fred Warner had the big punch. TJ Watt had one, and then Azeez got in there and knocked that away. So, man, his ability to play through injury is. I mean, Blake Cashman might still be in the hospital if he'd had what Azeez Al-Shaair had.
Come on, man. Come on. Now you're just taking it too far.
Well, durability has never been a hallmark of Blake Cashman's game.
Now you're just taking it too far. Jacob, appreciate everyone for coming through on SNL. Much appreciation, much love to all you. Actually going to be doing some TV after this. Myself and Cody Stoots. I'm going to have to be on TV with this weasel. And so we'll be on KPRC. So be on the lookout for that. And yes, I am rocking this shirt. I'm going to stick out like a damn sore thumb. I'm trying to steal the damn spotlight on the TV. So yeah, might put the boots on too and tower over you fools even more. Jacob says, like last week, I blame the jerk Bobby Slowik for that game yesterday. A little bit of sarcasm. This is a Bobby, like at the very least, this is just nothing to see here Bobby game. Like if you're a Bobby Slowik hater, then let's just take a week out. This was your bye week. I'm not sitting here saying that you got to glorify him. I'm not sitting here trying to dunk on you for any feelings you may have about Bobby Slowik. I haven't think it's been awesome, but I don't, it is what it is. But I do think if you're like one of these intense Bobby Slowik haters, at least just take the bye week this week.
Yeah, this is not the week to be critical because even during the lull, how much of that are you putting on Bobby Slowik? Because he doesn't throw the interception, he doesn't tip the ball up in the air, trying to come down with it.
They should have won by 30. You make a case that they should have easily won this game by 30, and that was I think they were flirting with the 3-possession lead a little longer than they needed to, and eventually it became a 1-possession game on the final thing. This felt like to me that once you had a 3-possession lead, it was basically over. But they were unable. I mean, they didn't score on drives 3 through 6. Now, some people say I thought Bobby was in his bag early on. New England fans were unhappy with that flag. I thought it should have just been a hold on Schultz instead of a pass interference. So I can understand that. I think it was a flag. It might have been the wrong call. It's like I keep seeing that. This is random. Keep seeing like that Jags game last year, like mentioned as like the bad call on Steven Nelson, the pass interference, where they called Steven Nelson. Remember that where he didn't touch him? Dude, look up. Tavier Thomas is literally grabbing the guy. Like he's grabbing the guy. They just said the wrong penalty. I thought that was kind of the case on the Schultz thing, but you missed the field goal. Kaimi Fairbairn misses a very rare 40-yard field goal. By the way, he's missed the field goal. You brought this up. The first field goal after being special teams player of the week, now twice.
No more chains, no more nothing for Kaimi because he only misses after he gets those awards. So no more awards. Sorry.
So you had that, and then you had the Schultz play where I think I'll put it this way. I think if you throw that up to any of the receivers, it doesn't get intercepted.
Okay. I agree with you.
That's the way I'll put it. I think there would have been a little more fight for the ball, and it's at the very least an incompletion. Is that fair?
I wonder if he timed the jump wrong because is
that making a case for or against?
Well, that would be a case against Dalton Schultz.
Okay, yeah.
Like if he times the jump wrong, it's his fault. It's not CJ's fault. Because it looked like he was coming down in the air as like the DB was going up for the ball, and then that allowed it to get popped up into the air. So, it's a good case by you that the receivers knocked that thing down.
Matt going to be at the Lions game. Shout out to Matt. Always one of the chat, my man. Dude, warm. Hit us up, man. Dom's going to be there. Hit us up. Love to meet you, my friend.
We have not talked about this, but I've talked about it with some other people. I feel like that Friday before the Lions game, okay, we're going to do SNL live somewhere. Have everybody out, have a party, hang out, have a couple beverages, eat some food. We'll get you some dates and times and all that.
This is hurtful. I don't know what this means. I think this is. I don't think this is good, dude. I don't think this is good. I never really got into the Young Shelton show, but I do. I do feel like that was a good one by you, my friend. I'm not going to dissect your picture though.
Oh, Landry, just leave it be.
Like Tom from MySpace, 40 years after the first picture, dude.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Hold on.
I mean, an eHarmony profile pic. I don't know what it is. I'll take Young Shelton. Wow. They might have a point, actually, though. That's actually a pretty good point. He's got I actually think that's a good score by you, Mario. I think that's a good one. Tell me that ain't an eHarmony profile pic, though.
I can hear the music. I can hear the music.
Shout out to Mario.
Good stuff, Mario.
That was a damn good one, man. Invalid, dude. Sometimes they honky me out and they like say that I look like someone. I'm like, dude, you're just saying we're both white. See, like this, like Derek Austin. This is what I'm talking about. This is why these are so rare and far between. Jared Goff. I look nothing like Jared Goff. This is what happens when you put the honky out there and you just look at that. Jared Goff. And now some of the brothers and sisters are going to start agreeing with him, man. Now they're going to start agreeing with. I look nothing like Jared Goff.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
It's all good though. It's all good though. Look at prime time. You know, he looks a lot like Shaq.
Oh man.
Landry looks like Cody Stitch. Y'all are crazy, man.
Man, at least they give you like, you know, not ugly people. When people tell me what I look like, they're like, "Hey, you look like Melissa McCarthy." I'm like, "Oh, come on."
Nah. Melissa McCarthy. Let me see that. Might be a point here.
Shut up.
Someone says I sound like Slowik.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Kind of see it, man. I kind of see it.
Somebody hit me with this one time, and I was like, "Damn it!"
I kind of see it.
I'm just trying. It's not good. Not good. I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to get into the Farley stage. If I could just look like Farley, that'd be fine. I'd live with that. Melissa McCarthy was not fun when somebody hit me with that one time.
Kind of see it, dude. By the way, interesting fact: there are two guys in Houston that currently rock the goatee.
Who?
You and
I don't know.
one more guy. Used to work with him. Congratulations, y'all got the same style.
Oh, that's not true. Definitely don't have the same style. Cody, you look like Paul Bearer. God, dog it. If I shaved my face, I would look like Paul Bearer.
All right, so the linebackers we got.
Can you fix your camera, please?
Dude, can we get to the secondary? I'm moving too much, man. I'm moving too damn much. Can we get the secondary? Let's talk about this secondary. I don't want to be seen. I want to be like in witness protection talking about this secondary. Let's talk about it.
Well, I feel like there's one weird element to it, and then there's a few like not good elements to it. Okay. It is very weird that the New England Patriots did not challenge D'Angelo Ross as much as many expected them to. He played all the snaps opposite Derek Stingley at outside.
Did they need to?
Well, if I was thinking about who I was going to go after, I would have gone after the guy that is the career backup who's not very good. But I mean, if you're going to run a all-out blitz and Derek Stingley is going to be a couple steps behind Demario Douglas, then maybe you don't need to go after D'Angelo Ross.
Yeah, I think the camera is throwing off the shirt. This is Derek said, "Breathe the new camera." This is an elite new camera. That's the problem. I'm just moving around too much. Yeah, not going against D'Angelo. What do you make of Stingley getting burned? Just happens. Charge it to the game.
Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, cornerbacks are going to give up a play. There's not one cornerback who's perfect. Yeah. Like cornerbacks are going to give up a play. It's not
other missed tackle. A couple missed tackles. Not tackling not as good as it was last week.
The Petrie push out that wasn't a push out. That's totally unacceptable. He's got to take that guy to the ground out of bounds. Like he just he gave like a little like half-ass push off and the guy didn't go out of bounds and had like a 20-something yard play. That can't happen. That can't happen. Now, Petrie darted in there for some nice run stops, but in coverage, I mean, him and Eric Murray just get attacked.
Yeah, and it does kind of feel like it's inevitable that is just going to be extremely picked on. Does it not feel like the safety situation is going to be I envision, and I hope I'm wrong, because I'm surprised it hasn't really happened over a long period of time. But I just envision a painful 60 minutes on any given Sunday, Sunday night, Thursday night, whatever, where the 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 lack of coverage ability of this safety group is just kind of exposed. I'm kind of feeling that. Hopefully it doesn't come at the worst time. Hopefully you're able to mask it, but it does feel like there is a lot of vulnerability at safety.
Well, and that's again, I'm surprised.
Coverage wise.
I'm surprised teams do not do more to attack the safeties. I mean, that you saw the Hunter Henry play where the safety should have been on that one, and he sort of just walked in there, and Eric Murray had a couple of plays where they went to him a couple times, back-to-back penalties. So he moved the ball for the Patriots in that one drive. But I am surprised more teams don't attack these safeties to a larger degree. And I don't know what the solution is, because at some point someone's going to find Jalen Petrie in coverage and throw the ball at him, and it's not always going to look good. So, but he brings enough that you're going to have him on the field that you don't want to swap him out for a slot cornerback. So someone's going to it may be next week. It may be next week when the Packers go after him, but someone's going to find the safeties and really go after them for an entire game.
The safeties though has been Kalen Bullock, and Murray made a play. I'm not trying to take away. I don't expect a ton from Eric Murray. He's done what you expect, and Petrie's been great in his new role. Mm-hmm. So there's kind of like a give and take there, but Bullock's just around the rock, man. Some guys are just around the rock. They got to know the nose for the football. Kalen Bullock is one of those guys. Another interception. He now has 2 fumble recovery as well. He seems to know what the hell's up and where the football is. And he's only going to get better. That's the beauty of it. There is a guarantee he is only going to get better. And it appears when he gets really, really good, I don't know how many limitations there are going to be on his game. I don't think he's going to be like as physical near the line of scrimmage as Jalen Petrie, but it's not like he's completely unwilling. I think Kalen Bullock's going to end up being a hell of a player for this team.
Bullock had a nice run cleanup towards the back end of a play and came up and took the care of business, and that was his one tackle of the day. But it was in the right position for the overthrow, and the return was excellent. Recovered the fumble. That's a great job by him. I mean, he's doing exactly what most people thought he was going to do in year 2 and year 3 of his career here in year 1. I don't know that they drafted him with the intention or maybe desire to play him as much as they have played him this early in his career, but he's been out there. He has never looked out of place. And there were a lot of draft prognosticators that said, hey, he needs just a little bit more time. Well, no, he doesn't. He looks pretty good right away. And
we might be able to thank Lincoln Riley, because I think the bleep show that was the USC defense, everybody looked like crap. Everybody looked like they didn't have fundamentals. There was bad tape on every defensive player. And I think as a result of that, there was probably like some unrealized maybe potential, and like there was just some slop out there. But I go back to this, and I bring this up every time we mention him. That was the most excited I've seen them in the draft war room. Like, they were pumped when they drafted Kalen Bullock, to the point where I was like, when they first said it, I was like, okay. And then I saw them, I was like, okay, what the hell do they know?
And Caserio even mentioned they contemplated drafting him with the Blake Fisher pick. Like that's how much they liked him. They ultimately went with Fisher.
But that's got to be awesome when he's in the discussion and then he's there that far down.
Oh, that's the best feeling.
Incredible.
That's the best feeling in the world in fantasy football when you're draft, when you're like, 2 guys, and it comes back to you and you're like, my other guy's still there. Like, that's great. That's in the real draft. That's got to be even better because Caserio puts the way he approaches it. He puts those guys in bands, and little sections of the draft, and so to have a guy he feels like's worthy of a 2. End up as a 3. Really solid selection. And again, Blake Fisher, when you needed him, he was in there as well. Laramie Tunsil leaves with the ankle again, and Fisher was in there. And I think it was the second or third play he was in there, he's just moving earth out there from that left tackle spot.
Sorry, late to the party. Any news on Laramie? Here's the news. Let me just tell you this, okay? Don't listen to any news until it becomes official when it comes to injuries. Unless Will Kunkel says it at this point, I don't believe any of these mofos, unless it's a national guy. Locally, Will Kunkel, national guys at this point on injuries. And let me just give you a spoiler alert for Laramie Tunsil. Okay?
He's not going to practice Wednesday?
There you go. He's not practicing Wednesday. We will wonder if he's going to be out there. He may be out there Thursday. He might not be. And Friday, we'll know if Laramie Tunsil is going to go. But they're not going to tell us. They're going to say day to day. But I would say that's the spoiler. It does seem to be the same ankle that it's been the whole time, which he has played through and not missed a game. But there's your spoiler alert on Laramie Tunsil. Laramie Tunsil not practicing Wednesday. And then we'll talk about, is he going to go? And then Thursday, he might go. Friday, we'll know for sure.
Aaron Wilson said that there's nothing to worry about, so they might have to amputate.
Uh-oh. Goodness gracious. He's going to be the leg version of Jim Abbott before we know it. Brandon Hollamass, what about Tutu? You called him Tutu? Come on, man. Put some respect on that name. To'o.
Shout out to our guy Will Kunkel. He had To'o on Kicking It with Kunkel, and they were talking about all the weird pronunciations of his name. He said he's gotten Tutu before.
Oh, that's really rude, Derek. News on LT, he doesn't like football. Wow, that's harsh. But
that's not true.
Yeah, you're kind of at the mercy when the concussion protocol goes down. You're kind of at the mercy. There's no fighting through it, man.
Well, and and linebacker too. Like, it's not. I mean, it feels like when they get their bell rung, the bell stays ringing for a few days.
Yeah. When's Christian Harris coming back? We don't know. We told you it wasn't going to be 4 weeks, so just stay with us. DeMeco will give us an update. He'll say probably he's not practicing this week, but we'll see. Maybe not. Probably not.
Okudah seems closer to returning from IR than Christian Harris does.
Okudah's closer than people know. Been hinting this last week. Okudah's closer than people know. I think. I won't think. But yeah, Okudah's. I think
he's back this week.
I don't think he comes back this week, but I think there might be a 10 in front of the date. I think that I would say that there's potentially. I would say that.
Could they activate the practice window, you think?
If there was a betting prop and you told me that, all right, one of these guys is going to have a 10 in front of their date, Okudah seems like a little bit more likely than Harris, maybe.
Heinisch is very close to, and his practice window's running out, so he'll be back soon.
What's up with him? They sent out like a report that he wasn't traveling or whatever. That was a weird one. That was a weird email.
I think this is new because they changed some rules about how guys go on IR from training camp.
I really didn't know what to make of that.
But to
be honest with you, I'm not going to sit here and like fake it till I make it.
He's not on the active roster. Like, he's on IR. So
what was that?
I think it's because they opened the practice window, and because he's practicing but didn't go, they I think maybe they have to say that he wasn't.
They have to say he's not going on the plane.
Yeah, he's not traveling.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know what to make about that at all. Like I had nothing to make about that.
They have to make a roster move to get him back on there, so I don't know.
Whatever. We'll see what happens with Heinisch. I don't know how he fits in, how he doesn't. I mean, it kind of in no man's land. It seems like even if he was healthy, he's kind of in. It appears, especially with Autry coming back and everything, it does kind of feel like he's in no man's land.
They've got plenty of defensive tackle. I mean, we talked about Mario Edwards, Foley Fatukasi. Fatukasi had the snap timed out on May early on in that one game, and then
Trent Green said he was offsides.
Yeah, Trent Green didn't know what the hell he was talking about. He's being too much of a quarterback there.
Trent Green was grumpy yesterday. I'm telling you, he said he was offsides.
and then Khalil Davis has had a play here or there. Tim Settle's had a play here or there. So they don't even need Heinisch right now.
This is a question from Gustavo. Shout out to you. Is Autry healthy? Seen reports he's injured. You'll have to be more specific. Like what reports? I don't know.
I would expect Autry back.
Yeah, what reports are you seeing? What does that mean?
He was hurt in training camp, prior to his suspension becoming public and official.
Yeah.
But I would expect him back this week.
Yeah, you'd have to tell me where these reports are, my friend. Appreciate the super chat though. But yeah, I don't really know.
I haven't seen that from anybody reputable.
So I want to touch on this, and coming up in a second, Cody Stoots is going to touch on the lull. I'm going to go beyond the box score, and we're going to keep interacting with you here on Reaction Monday with SNL. I want to talk about what 5-1 actually means right now, and I think the beauty of 5-1 right now in this division is you really have one team competing with you, and that team is beat up, and they have Joe Flacco. I think that the fact that Colts are 3-3 right now, I think they deserve a lot of credit. I think Shane Steichen's a hell of a coach. I don't think Shane Steichen has the dogs that DeMeco Ryans has, but I think Shane Steichen's doing as good of a job as a coach with his football team as DeMeco is, and that's not a slight on DeMeco. I think DeMeco right now is the front runner for Coach of the Year, and the juggling that he's done is second to none. But I think that Shane Steichen's able to hold this thing together with duct tape right now, and it's actually kind of a miracle that they're 3-3. With that said, they don't appear to be much of a threat to the Texans. You've already beaten them once; they're not really much of a threat. So this 5-1 start, the division is the last thing that you look at. Like when you scoreboard watch at this point, you're looking at Baltimore, who's won 4 straight. Oh, by the way, Derrick Henry appears to have a little bit left in the tank. The Chiefs are undefeated, so you're looking at them. I don't even know, like outside of Baltimore, if you're even looking at anyone in the North that closely. Maybe you're keeping a close eye on Cincinnati and seeing if they can get it groove. But the scoreboard watching in the East, Buffalo still, I don't think you completely dismiss them. If they could lose to the Jets today, that would be a very, very good thing for the Texans, get some even more ground on them. But that's what 5-1 means. 5-1 basically means you go from the kiddie pool to the big kids pool. And that's how you scoreboard watch. The other thing is, and I said this last week, I just want to reset this a little bit, Cody. So we agree. Would you agree that the AFC South is a dog-butted division? It's not good.
It's terrible.
It's not good. Yeah, it's bad. So
it's pathetic.
You got 4 games against division opponents remaining. 4.
That's a Colts, 2 Titans, and a Jaguars.
Yeah, who, by the way, they're still in London. That must be fun. They got that 2-week London crap that they do, which is so terrible.
It's Jaguars Patriots next week, right?
It is, and they're the home team. Jags have sacrificed the home team situation.
Ugh.
If you go 5-6, you match last season's win total, and you're in the playoffs. Let's be honest, 10 wins get you in.
Yes.
You're in the playoffs. So you could go 5-6 and get into the playoffs. That kind of just puts in perspective where the Texans are sitting right now, how good they're playing. And you also kind of lucked into getting the AFC East. I think this is kind of an interesting situation with the Bills and Jets because the Jets are firing everybody. I just don't see how you fire the overseer of your defense and offense and then suddenly like flip the switch and start competing if you're the Jets.
Yeah, the AFC East is going to end up being one of the more disappointing divisions if Buffalo is not, nipping at the heels of the Chiefs and the Ravens like the Texans are, because I'm not going to believe that anybody, unless Buffalo turns this thing around, I'm not going to believe that anybody is a real threat coming out of that division.
By the way, this is a good point. Coach of the year coughs, Minnesota coughs. Yeah, Kevin O'Connell. I would agree with you. He's probably going to be the coach of the year. I said DeMeco. We saw the head-to-head. That's
Landry Locker AFC coach of the year right now is Shane Stein.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good point and a very, very necessary call out. I don't want to take away what Kevin O'Connell's done right now. Gustavo back. Okay, back to the chat. Swarm. Y'all need to make a list of who's reputable on X. MFs be scaring me with posts you see. Need to know who to block. You ain't got to block. I mean, I'm a fan of blocking if you need to.
GC's out here he's out here handing out blocks like Oprah. He's like, false report.
Just for injuries, the national guys are the only guys that I would listen to for injuries, or Kunkel. Kunkel's
Yep.
been undefeated so far. Other than that, it's all guessing.
Hit rate matters to me more than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. And plus, we kind of have a grasp of what's going on. Like wasn't there like a report last week where it was like Joe Mixon's gonna play? Well, he practiced Thursday and Friday. I probably assume they let him speak. Like the second that they let Joe Mixon speak, I knew he was playing.
Yeah.
Like that was.
And this when you walked over to his locker, you're like, okay, he's playing. And then when you heard him talk, you're like, okay, he's definitely playing.
He's playing, and he might catch some bodies on the field. Like he is ready to go.
Yeah.
Big time. Shout out to Joe Mixon.
Here's a couple of fun Joe Mixon things for you.
Oh.
Joe Mixon is top 25 in rushing yards in the NFL. And in the top 25, he's the only running back that has played less than 4 games in the top 25.
There's a stat.
And he is why does this show me here?
Just look it up. Don't do the sound.
He is 4th in yards per game.
He did the sound while he's looking it up. That's the worst.
He's 4th in yards per game.
Gosh, good Lord.
He's 4th in yards per game. Is that not impressive?
Good Lord.
Is that not impressive?
I'm going to age you 35 years. And
is that not impressive? Answer my question.
Yeah, it's impressive.
He's only played. He's only
pet peeve.
He's only played 10 and a half quarters. I hit the wrong sort button. Sue me. 10 and a half quarters, and he's 4th in yards per game. He only played half a game against Chicago. And he only played half a game, really, against the Patriots because they were load managing him.
All right, let's go to the third phase. We've covered the offense. We've covered the defense. Biggest question on offense, can the receivers get it going at the same time? And on defense, it's how often are they going to be in Green Bay? We'll get to that in a sec. Special teams. We had a missed field goal. We had a good return by Steven Sims. Wasn't terrible on special teams. But are the special teams, is Frank Ross's special teams, is it playing with fire?
I believe that the special teams are going to lose them a game or unnecessarily keep them in a game that they shouldn't have close before the season is over. Unless Woods comes back, like that solidifies the return situation. But Kaimi can't miss a 40-yarder when you're going up 17-0.
Give him a break.
You can't miss that.
He made a 59-yarder to win the game.
What standard do I hold him to?
What do you hold him to? A golf standard. Sometimes a golfer misses a fairway. Kicks are like field goals. Sometimes it happens. He's a good golfer. He recovered. He found the next 2 fairways. Give me a break.
And Townsend's inconsistency. I mean, he had some nice punts, and then he had a 35-yarder when you needed him to have a better one. Like,
have that one boom, that's 65 in the air.
Yeah,
and you even added onto it with the penalty. It was good to see. No,
you're absolutely right about that. Like, he had some nice points, but like, there's going to be a game where you're going to need perfection from the special teams, and they're not going to be there, and it's going to either keep the game unnecessarily close, or you're going to lose the football game.
It's kind of a miracle that special teams hasn't cost you a game already. Maybe they've already had the losing efforts, special teams, because you get a punt blocked inside the 5, you muff a punt inside the 5. A lot of times those are the plays that you look back to and you say they should have lost that game. It happened in the 2 division games, actually. The Colts and Jags, both wins. So maybe they've already wasted those efforts. I don't know. But the special teams, you definitely don't feel as good about it as you have recently. Gustavo says that he's going to mute Aaron Wilson. Always puts my hope up. Okay. We read the super chats, by the way. I don't want A-Dub to be mad at us. But hey, it's okay. And Aaron puts out a lot of stuff though. It's a hard, sometimes when he starts just like putting the wire up there, like the moves, like the Saints signed Needle Dong Johnson and the Colts signed Davis Liquor. Like there's a lot of stuff there. Can be a lot of information. Tiemann says getting a bit tired of these 1 to 2 quarter lulls. the offense has. Well, it's interesting you say lulls because Cody Stoots actually has right now. This is a hell of an assist by you. He's going to dissect the lulls that took place yesterday with the Houston Texans because the standards are high, not just 5-1. Cody Stoots presents Dissecting the Lulls.
Yeah, put the frog on the table. It's biology class. We're dissecting the lull here. And this was such a disappointing lull because you can point to almost every aspect of the team leading to it. So you start 14-0 and you get the ball off the interception and the offense, okay, you end up kicking a field goal. That's fine. You're supposed to go up 17-0, but then the reigning defending AFC Special Teams Player of the Week misses a field goal from 40 yards, ends a 40-yard field goal.
I can't believe you're being hard on Fairbairn like this. That is shocking.
So he misses the field goal. Should have been 17-0, but you're like, okay, you can live with that. Defense takes care of their business. 1 first down. Will Anderson mauls Drake May, forces a punt. Then Steven Sims fair catches the ball.
This is a good question, though. By in the life of Colby, are you gonna work out a kicker? Do you think they should be working out kickers today?
No. Steven Sims catches the ball, and there's no he catches the ball. Okay, after signaling for a fair catch, he catches when the ball contacts him. There's nobody within 10 yards of him, so he signaled a fair catch with nobody within 20 yards of him.
Yeah, twice.
And you're like, come on, dude. So then you get the huge Joe Mixon run. And he hits over 20 miles an hour. He's one of the only 8 players to run over 20 miles an hour on the field. Looks perfectly healthy on that entire run. And the 2 plays later, maybe Stroud throws a little bit behind Schultz. Maybe Schultz mistimes the jump. Maybe Schultz should have knocked it down. Maybe he shouldn't have popped it. You throw an interception. Well, you're being pretty aggressive from 20-ish or so yards out. Nobody else is open on that play. CJ takes it to the end zone. Okay, gets batted up in the air. Interception. I think, all right, the lull is officially here at this point.
You know what else, going back to the Steven Sims thing, and we're dissecting the lull with Cody Stoots. You know what he does that really bothers me too?
What?
Dude, he acts like he's freaking Evan Hester, and that he's like he's one broken tackle away from taking it to the house. He'll get arm tackled regularly, and every time he does, it's every time. It's not just one time. He'll do this. Like he was one broken tackle away from taking it to the house, and it's like, dude, this happens every time. He also runs backwards like he's running like a 3.9 40 or something like that. But every time he gets tackled, you would think that he was like one play away from taking it to the house.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're in the middle of the lull here. The huge Mixon run, interception. Texans end up forcing a punt. And the type of punt that they force is a line drive punt. Physics tells you this thing's headed toward the end zone. So what does Steven Sims do? He fair catches the damn football on the 8-yard line. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Dude, and he slapped the ball again. Every time he fair catches, he slaps the ball too. Oh, I was this close, man. If I wouldn't have fair caught that, I was going to take that to the crib.
Oh, God. On the 8-yard line after last week, they fair catch it deep in their own play. Okay. Ensuing Texans drive, not great. Nobody gets open. Stroud has to check it down to Dameon Pierce. They run the ball left. Kenyon Green can't do his job. Pierce gets tackled for no gain. And then the Pats are just incredibly ready for a Tank Dell screen. So the defense put in a little bit of a disadvantageous position, holds again. The defense does their job again. And so then the Texans get the ball back. Juice Scruggs screws up the snap. And then Mixon makes up for it because he gets a 20-yard pass and catch. And so CJ hits him 20 yards. They're set up. Nobody gets open. Stroud throws it away. They run the ball with Daria Gumbawale. And then on 3rd down, nobody touches the blitzer.
It was a
Kenyon
basic
Green,
stunt, man. It's just
Kenyon,
the basic bitch stunts kill this team sometimes.
and I've been very critical of Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green blocks nobody on the
You
play.
said he sucked.
He has not been good since week 1.
You said he hadn't been good.
Kenyon Green blocks nobody, but that didn't matter because Titus Howard got whipped. Titus Howard got whipped on the right side too. So even if Green had put a hand on the blitzer, Titus Howard got beat. Dare Ogunbowale can't block 2 guys, and the Texans end up having to punt yet again. And then that's when Drake May gets going. He runs the football. Petrie has the awful tackle, a couple of Eric Murray penalties, and then a 40-yard bomb to Kayshon Boutte on Derek Stingley. When I guess Stingley didn't think the guy could get behind him. I don't know. And that's officially the lull heading into halftime. Officially the lull. And
the inability to put together a 3-possession lead. Like the inability, because the 3-possession lead seemed like the end. Bye-bye.
Just how about get some first downs? Like I think only a couple of first downs on here. They were both Mixon driven. You got the big run and you got the big catch. Like, how about just get some first downs? Like, come on.
Shout out to Germany, by the way. I'm not even going to try to read that name. Can you read that for me?
Yarling.
Don't do it in a German accent and be insensitive either.
Yarling.
Okay,
that's his last name.
Yeah, I can see you doing your fake German accent there, and nobody wants to hear that.
I don't do fake German accents.
Corey Davis says, I'm not trying to be a Sims hater, but dude has to go. Special teams won't cost us a game, but Sims will. Dude, that acting like you were one play away from breaking it open drives me nuts with Sims.
Well, Mixon does it, but I actually believe him when he does it, when he gets mad.
Mixon, we've seen him do it. We've seen Steven Sims return 1 punt. It was against the Ravens.
Yep.
Yeah, Mixon does it, and he's 1 away. He got tripped early on too. Like in the clear field, the guy literally just stuck his leg out and tripped him.
Oh,
he made the tackle anyways, but he just tripped him.
Yeah, it was like one of their safeties.
That was one of Trent Green's 97 call-outs of the officials. In the
that was a tripping. Look at him. That was a tripping.
Dude, he was so grumpy. Let's hear what the coach has to say, and then we'll go beyond the box score. Those are the Cody Stoots lulls. We'll also go on to Green Bay, kinda. But it is Reaction Monday. Let's hear what DeMeco had to say. Here's the head coach of your Houston Texans after the dub in Foxborough.
Proud of all of our guys today for this win. Started off hot. Really excited about how we came out. First quarter, came out third quarter. Really nice job all the way across the board with our offense and how they ran the football to run for over 190 yards versus a really stout defense. Right? Really impressive. Starting with the offensive line, right, and then give credit to our backs, right? Having Damian, having Joe back was huge for us, huge lift for our team. Very excited to see those guys continue to do more for us, but very pleased with the run game and how they got after it today. Those guys bring playmaking ability, right? Even not just getting what the run is blocked for, but when your backs are special, they get more than what it's blocked for, and that's what you saw today with the explosive runs, 2 big explosive runs, one by Damian and one by Joe. That's right. When you got backs who can do that extra, right, and that's where they're capable of doing, of giving us the extra, and for both guys to get touchdowns today, that was big. Right, halftime, I just felt like we kind of just during that second quarter, I felt like we kind of took our foot off the gas and guys kind of relaxed, and it was just that we had to flip our mindset and understand, like, this is the NFL. Like, guys aren't laying down. They're coming back out. They're making adjustments. They'll be ready to go. And we just had to make sure we got back to what we said we were going to do, and that's execute. And that's the only thing that matters is us executing. And we kind of fell into a lull there and allowed them to get points. Man, proud of Will. Massive game for him to be able to get after the quarterback the way he did. 3 sacks, also forced an interception there by E. Murray. Just a really, really productive day by him, and he stayed out there. I loved his energy, right, from start to finish. Right, he came out. I felt his mindset in pregame warm-up, so I knew it was going to be a really good day for him. Will he's getting better every week, and this is his best game by far. Credit to May. One thing that he does, right, is as a quarterback, his escapability, it's really good for them, and I think it's a positive for him, like being able to pull it down, and when things aren't there, being able to make plays on the run. So as rushers, right, you have to be aware that this guy can pull it down and run, take off, and you have to just understand that and be able to get off a block. So I thought they did a good job of O-line blocking for him and him being able to find it when it wasn't there. And, in the passing game, him pulling it down, that sets them apart, makes him a little different.
I know you said that a second ago, but I thought May had a little juice to him, a lot more than what Brissett had been giving him.
Yeah, he was good, man. That was good. I mean, he has more touchdown passes than Brissett already. Sports Talk with D. He wants to win money. He says Texans +3 against the Packers. Thoughts? I'm staying away from that one, brother. I am staying away from that one, brother. If anything, I might even take the Pack, honestly. If the game were today, I would take the Pack, but I'm most likely going to stay away from that one.
Yeah, I think there's probably something to be found elsewhere in the game versus picking a side on this. So
yeah, it's not looking. I mean, if you don't, we got to see what it looks like for the linebackers. Are they going to have linebackers?
Yep.
It would have to, the D line would have to carry them without the linebackers. Green Bay likes to run the rock, man. And LaFleur is a hell of a coach too. We already saw what O'Connell did. DeMeco kind of has a pattern of the first time not really looking as good against like these types of guys. So I'm a little bit concerned about this one. I would not bet on the Texans. I'll put it that way. Which maybe you should go against me.
All right, here's more from DeMeco.
Kalen shows up every week around the football, and that's a reason why we drafted Kalen. He showed that in college, and it's cool to see. Like that's who Kalen is, right? He did it in college, and now he's doing it here in the league. The game isn't too big for him, and he made a ton of plays again. Him intercepting the ball, getting the fumble. Very proud of him. I don't know about easy, but it's never easy. I never take it for granted. That's a really good football team, and I never take it for granted that we were able to come here and get this win. It's a big one for us. This is an organization, our first time winning here in New England, so it's a special game for everyone. For me, every time we play, it's about winning. It doesn't matter how you get it done, if it's a last-second win, if it's a 2 touchdown, it doesn't matter to me. Finish with a win. And CJ was very efficient today. As you mentioned, he was poised, under control. That's who CJ is, right? He never gets too high or too low. Right? He understands when he does make a mistake. He understands instantly, and he's able to fix it, right, in game, within series. So very proud of CJ and the way he played today, leading our offense to get 3 touchdowns. Again, really tough defense. For him to get 3 touchdowns, it was big, and he doesn't do it by himself, right? It's our O-line. Thought they did a good job of protecting, and also Tank had a really nice game. Tank and Stefon, both guys stepped up. We were down, not having Nico, who's been a lot to us and made a lot of plays for us, but Tank and Steph stepped up big time and made a lot of plays. His decision making was nice. Right? He was efficient with the football. He was going to the right spot with the football, right? They got one on us. I think the DB made a nice play, being able to tip the ball there in the end zone. But overall, right from start to finish, CJ was very decisive. He was efficient, great decision-making all day. Right, one thing we pride ourselves on is taking the football defensively. And today to get 4 takeaways, it was huge for us, the most we've gotten, in a game here this year. So to see it come to fruition was really awesome by our defense, and to see the energy that it provided our entire team. And it's not only getting the takeaways, but as you mentioned, it's about the offense being able to capitalize and score points off of takeaways. That's when you really can get ahead on the team. So giving the offense a short field and the offense doing their part of actually putting points on the board after the takeaways, that's where the takeaways mean a lot more. So proud of our team collectively, offense, defense, special teams. I like the way, we were disruptive in the kickoff game, forcing some kicks, forcing them to return. Our guys did a really great job of covering. Yeah, Azeez getting evaluated with a knee. He tried to come back, but we'll see how he progresses throughout the week. It wasn't surprising to see Steph and Tank step up and make the plays. I hate to say that they're stepping up, right? It was just they maximize their opportunities. That's who those guys have been. So to say step up is probably an understatement for these guys. They're playmakers as well, and that's what they've been. You know, Tank in his short career has been a playmaker for us, and so we all know what Diggs has done throughout his career of being a top guy, so not surprising at all. For Joe, you see the energy that he brings, it's just different. He brings a different energy to our entire, not the offense, but just the entire team, right? Joe is, man, he's probably one of the best competitors that I've been around. Like, his passion for the game, his will to go out and play injured, not all the way 100%, but for him to still, you know, go out, gut it out, and still have a really, you know, outstanding performance. It just shows, you know, who Joe is, right? He put the work in this week. He's put a lot of work in to rehab, get himself back. And we're just happy to have him, and his energy, his presence just uplifts our entire team. Yeah, happy for Damien. He's just made the most of his opportunity. And Damien it's just about not pressing or trying to do something out of the ordinary. It's just playing the game the right way, letting the game come to you. And Damien made the most of his opportunities, and there you go. He has a big explosive run for a touchdown, one of the best runs we've seen him have since we've been here. It's just about keep plugging away for Damien. Just stay after it. Doesn't matter what the noise is on the outside. Just keep working, keep following, right? The guys keep playing for each other, right? And it'll all come to you. So proud of Damien for what he's done. Proud of our entire offense.
There you go. Thank you, Coach. Now, he said the running backs make the O-line better, which is that's a hell of a concept. I like to hear that. That's a good thing to hear, for sure. Not quite the biggest praise of the offensive line, I would say. But I agree with him on the Mixon thing. We actually talked about that earlier. There is a certain element of toughness, intensity, excitement that Joe Mixon brings when he's playing.
Yeah, DeMeco has not been he's not really held the offensive line's hand this year. There have been some moments where maybe he stuck up for him, and I don't know that it totally I saw it the same way as him, but he's had some moments where he's been not complimentary of them, which kind of leans into him being critical at the podium, I guess I would say.
He on the super chat, does Danielle Hunter have the funniest sacks? He launches himself at people. Did it to Caleb week 2. Little violent? Is that what we're saying with Danielle?
Danielle Hunter hates rookies, and he does all he can to annihilate them.
Yeah, you drink. Go ahead.
That Hunter sack, it's a masterclass in pass rushing. He uses his hands to get rid of the tackle and then uses the speed to get around him, and then doesn't get a penalty like you see sometimes when guys sack quarterbacks. So it's a really, really great job by Danielle Hunter. Still number 2 in quarterback pressures in the NFL. Do you like to drink drinks with out straws or with straws? The only drink I drink with a straw is a smoothie.
So you prefer without straws?
I prefer without straws.
Okay. Well, then you're the opposite of Black Eighth Element because he is a straw man. He says y'all need to put some respect on DeMeco's name. Who in this chat and who on this show is not putting respect on DeMeco's name? Give me one person. Just one person who's not putting respect on DeMeco's name.
I have no clue. I don't know where that's coming from.
Shout out to Black Eighth.
Did he? I can't even think of a name that he might have misspelled when he meant somebody else.
They mean DeMeco Autry. Speaking of which, how does DeMeco Autry fit into this thing?
So I went and did some research on this. We go Stoots, Stats, and Info. Okay. DeMeco Autry the past 3 seasons has only played 5.2% of his snaps at defensive tackle. He played 49 snaps at DT last year, 20 snaps the year before, and 38 the year before that. So he's only played 107 defensive tackle snaps. But this team is showing you that they can take a defensive end and make him a defensive tackle. They did that with Mario Edwards. He is going to be the super sub for this team. He's going to be the guy that, okay, you put him in there with Barnett, and he and Barnett are the pass rushers on the edge. Oh, Fadakasi's off the field because it's not necessarily a rundown. Let's put him in there with Mario Edwards. Like, he's going to be the defensive line super sub, and they're going to use him in a bunch of different ways.
Okay. I wonder if they're going to use all three. I anticipate that, what that looks like. There's going to be, I think practice is always intense, but as far as like on defense, as far as like implementing new things, I think this is going to be a very, very important time of practice when it comes to Autry and how he fits in. And really it's a lot of, you got to be synchronized in order to get to the quarterback. What is the line that Burke always says? God, he says
rush
it
together.
No, but something else. There's like, he does like a business analogy on it. God, what is it? We're independent contractors, or we're not independent contractors.
Oh yeah, we're not independent contractors. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not independent contractors. So I think that's just kind of a way of saying they all got to be on the same page. So we'll see how long it takes to get gelling. Some people look at it as see quarterback, get quarterback. Who knows? I bet he's foaming at the mouth to get out there, though. That's the other thing. He's got to be. I mean, he's had to sit there and watch this for 6 weeks after being excited to get out of the grasp of Amy Adams Stank, the stanky one in Tennessee, and now he's here. He's got to be foaming at the mouth to get out there.
Well, he'll be the top backup player on this team. Like, he won't start, but he'll get a lot of opportunities and get a lot of reps. And Derek Barnett's hurt right now. Dylan Horton is a second-year player that's barely played in his rookie year because of situations out of his control. So he comes in right away as a healthy and super useful player. This guy had 11.5 sacks last year. I mean,
yeah, and that was a career high, and he's been in the league for a while, and he's actually been really good the last 3 seasons from a sack perspective. Let's go beyond the box score real quick. I think there's not a lot like beyond the box score. I think there's 3 things that stick out beyond the box score. Number one, there was a lot of energy being played with against this New England Patriots team. And I know that that's not too surprising given kind of what we know about this squad. But I think in a game in New England where it would be easy to kind of sleepwalk just naturally because there's not as much of a buzz, like if you could hear like the screaming and hollering on the field mic against like say Buffalo or Kansas City or Baltimore, then I would say, okay, yeah, I expect you to be able to get up for that game. But this was perhaps the most intense emotion displayed on the field. And maybe it's a mix-in factor. I mean, there is a mix-in factor to it, and I think it's one that's impossible to avoid. But for a game in New England that was supposed to be kind of a sleepwalk to many and a potential trap game and all that type of stuff, the energy that this team showed, from Joe Mixon to Tank Dell to Stefon Diggs to Mario Edwards to Will Anderson, the list could go on and on. I probably left out a lot of people, but the emotion that this squad showed, I think that is incredibly, incredibly impressive given what this game could have been, and really the game that this team was coming off of against Buffalo last week.
Not only that, but to have it show up basically right away in the second half after you had the lull there at the end of the first half. You come out on the field, Danielle Hunter destroys Drake May. 2 plays later, Stefon Diggs is in the end zone. He's letting the rookie know, or the second-year corner, Christian Gonzalez, know, you can't guard me, young gun, and you're off to the races from there. And there weren't very many hiccups after that. Like, I mean, just to have that energy still be present and show up to that level there right out of the second half when they've had some really poor third quarters, that was an important element of that energy beyond the box score too.
The other thing beyond the box score, number 2, I know it's a win. I saw one of the headlines that said the Texans dominate. I didn't feel like this was a dominant performance. I actually feel like they let the Patriots hang in there a little bit too much. There was a massive opportunity for the Texans to put this thing away early. And I feel like they actually made it a little more interesting than it needed to be. And I know what people in the locker room will say, not not the channel, the YouTube channel, the locker room, my channel, but the Texans locker room, they're NFL players too, and all that type of stuff. They're not as good. And when you have a 14-point lead and you force a turnover and you get the ball inside the 30-yard line, and then on the next drive, you throw an interception in the end zone after missing the field goal, and you go into halftime with a 7-point lead instead of a 17 or 20-point lead, you got to clean that up. You got to clean that up. And the reason I'm even saying this is because the Patriots are lightweight. You'll never deal with them again, at least this season. So you've got to kind of clean that up and take advantage of those opportunities if you're the Texans. Final one.
Yeah, domination is what the Lions did to the Cowboys. The Texans finished strong, but I agree with you. Domination would be too strong of a word.
Yeah, you've got to extend that to a 3-possession lead, even if it just meant Fairbairn kicking the field goal and you going in up 10. Like being up 1 possession with New England having an opportunity to tie the game on the first possession of the third quarter, that's unacceptable, especially with how good that first quarter performance was. So that's really all I'm saying in that. And then the final thing, outside of the actual production, it was really, really good to see, first of all, the confidence that Tank Dell's playing with. And this can go back to point 1 when it comes to the emotion. I think the confidence that Tank Dell's playing with is good to see, because let's be honest, and I think he can be honest, the season up to this point has been disappointing for him. And I know he wants to win, but from like a personal production standpoint and getting all 3 of this 3-headed monsters going, it's been a little bit disappointing. Him and CJ had elite chemistry. Like some of those catches that he was making, whether it was on the sidelines, whether it was on the third down that I thought was really underrated at the end of the game when New England cut the lead to 13. They still possess elite chemistry, and I think that was really good to see. And I think that's something that's going to be valuable, not just the next few weeks, but I think it's going to be valuable like 5 weeks beyond or whatever, whenever Nico Collins comes back. So I thought that was really good to see. And I think there's reason to believe that CJ Stroud can gel with all 3 of these guys at the same time. So it was good to see Tank Dell when called upon and being clearly asked to be the number 2 guy or number 1 at times. I thought it was good to see that they haven't really missed a beat in some of the plays they were making. I don't think there's too many duos that can make those plays.
Those sliding catches, man. I love those. I love those sliding catches. And Dell had the one in the end zone, then he had the one over the middle as well.
Drew a flag, which is almost as good as a completion, same result. So yeah, Tank Dell was really, really good. I thought that was really good. So that's the beyond the box score. There's not a ton there, but they've got to when they smell blood, they've got to go up there and
when you get them down, you got to bury them. When you get them down, you got to bury them.
Yeah, I mean, you can afford it against New England, and we can look up and say 20-point win. But
do that against the Packers, and you're going to have a real rough day.
CJ throws the ball to protect his receivers too. It does seem that way. Yeah, it's been disappointing, but let's be honest, Nico's been the best receiver in the league. And I mean, I think there is a snowball effect too. I'm just talking about from a personal production. There hasn't really been any moping. They look good. But yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, Nico's been doing his thing. 1-0 without Nico Collins. How about that?
Nico Collins still the league's leading receiver.
Wow. That's something for sure.
Jamar Chase is closing fast, though. You imagine how much money Jamar Chase is going to make if he's the NFL's best receiver this year. They didn't sign him before the season.
You imagine how much money he's going to make if he isn't? I mean, I think he already wanted Jefferson money. Didn't you see the interview? They asked him about Jefferson. They said because Chase said he was the best receiver in the league. His media scrums are the best. But he was like, I'm the best receiver in the league. He's like, what about Jefferson? He's like, I'll bust Justin's ass. I
mean, there was a play yesterday. Burrow just threw. He's like, F it, Chase is down there somewhere, and Jamar Chase is like, whoop, rips it out of the air.
And they were on the same team in college. How about that?
How about that?
What are the concerns for the Texans injury wise? There's a few things to keep an eye on. Guys, Wednesday doesn't matter. It's going to be Thursday where we get more of a grasp. Wednesday, if you see someone out there that's encouraging, but what are the biggest injury concerns for you? If you were power ranking them, what would they be?
The only Wednesday that would ever matter would be CJ Stroud, but he's healthy. So, Azeez Al-Shaair for me. I don't, because not only would you need to try to replace what he's brought to the table, which has been really good production from that linebacker spot, you'd have to change the way you operate the defense, because that means somebody else is calling the plays and got the green dot on the helmet. So Azeez Al-Shaair for me is the one that I'm paying the most attention to, and I feel like they really need him. There's not somebody that's a one-for-one, replacement for him that they could put out there.
Yeah, I would say linebacker as a whole. I would actually say Toto and Al-Shaair, and Toto has a concussion, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know that you can really rely on that. So I would say linebacker as a whole is a top injury. I also think that that offensive coordinator that New England has that looks like the guy on the Bluebell fudge pop box.
Alex Van Pelt is his name.
Yeah, he looks just like that coach on the Bluebell fudge pop box, which, by the way, always ruins my grocery experience when I'm in the frozen section, because that guy looks like he looks a little nuts. Yeah, tell me that's not New England's offensive coordinator right there, the creepy coach on the fudge bar.
Hold on, let me get an Alex Van Pelt. We could do
dude, they're twins.
Oh my God, it's really good.
They're twins, bro. I'm telling you, they're twins.
It's really good.
Yeah, see? Tell me that ain't the coach. He's the fudge pop coach, man. Look at that. Same guy. Hey, Drake. Hey, Drake, you want a bite? Get healthy, Ramondre. Here's some ice cream to help you. I believe it helps you heal. But I think that LaFleur will expose corner depth better than that guy did. And yes. I also think, in fairness, he has better weapons, a more experienced quarterback. He's not necessarily trying to protect him. But I do fear, Kamari Lassiter with the shoulder, we don't know how serious it is, that if he's not out there, I think a coordinator like a LaFleur, like a Steichen, like the Jets, no, but like the next two where you have LaFleur and Steichen,
like a Ben Johnson for Sunday Night Football.
They'll be able to expose that a little bit better than Fudge Pop was able to do it. So I do think you keep an eye on that.
Man, D'Angelo Ross out there did not get challenged by Drake May, and I'm so surprised by that. That's a bad job, and I understand he eventually got Derek Stingley, but to not challenge the backup corner, who is not even really the backup corner, he's the backup. To not challenge him more, that's a bad job by the Patriots. It's a really bad job.
Laramie Tunsil has the ankle that's been kind of lingering for a while. I think we get Wednesdays off at the very least, and then we check it out. But I feel okay about the swing tackle.
Yep.
I like what Blake Fisher can do. I think he's I think he's an above serviceable already. And I think in this, you might roll your eyes at this. I think right now Blake Fisher is already an above serviceable swing tackle. When swing tackles are it's always going to be a roller coaster. It's never going to be perfectly clean. But I think right now he is, the second that he stepped on the field, I think he's an above average swing tackle, which is important on this team. God, it's important on this team. It might be more important than having a freaking who knows what, an above average swing tackle.
I mean, he might be one of the better swing tackles in all of football. Like, I mean, I don't know everybody's situation.
Let me hear your top five. Let me hear your top five swing tackles.
I don't know everybody's situation off the top of my head, but I'm just kind of scrolling. I mean, he's better than Kendall Lamb, who's the swing tackle in Miami. He's better than the guy in Buffalo. He's better than the Patriots guy. He's better than the Jets guy. The Ravens guy's as good as him. The Bengals don't even have one on their roster as I'm looking at it. He's better than the Browns guy.
All right. I didn't want to get swing tag. I asked for it, but I didn't ask for it.
This is what you wanted. You thought I was going to crap on it,
kidding.
but I'm actually
kidding.
I'm actually supporting you.
Yeah, I was kidding. But yeah, the Tunsil thing will be something to keep an eye on. Nico, he's back. He's going to be back in a few weeks. DeMeco has said as much. So, yeah, there you go. What does this team look like? This is hypothetical. What does this team look like if Dalton Schultz can't go? Like if Dalton Schultz's foot starts acting up? You think they look worse? Like if you have Quitoriano, Fisher, and let's say Irv Smith have to hold it down or something, how much worse do you think they look?
A little bit worse because they showed you yesterday they have more faith in the tight end situation than they do in the third wide receiver situation as it stands right now. Xavier Hutchinson was the only other wide receiver to get a target.
Schultz is not beloved, man.
Right. No, I get you on that. But they have more faith in the tight ends than they do in Hutchinson, Mechie. And maybe that changes when Woods is back. But Hutchinson, Mechie, Sims as a wide receiver, less than Schultz, Stover, Quitoriano right now for this team. So if you didn't have Schultz, it would be more wide receiver 3, not necessarily more Stover, Quitoriano.
All right.
They would just adjust the power rankings of where CJ's putting the ball.
I want to go football hardo.
Okay.
Hutchinson did a good job blocking yesterday. I'm not one of these. Gotta watch the tape guys. I don't pride myself in being like a film watcher or anything like that. Felt like Hutchinson did a good job blocking yesterday. I think that might get called out. I think Bobby might mention that. I'm calling this right now. Bobby Slowik mentions Xavier Hutchinson's blocking Thursday. I
thought Xavier Hutchinson was out for the season when he got rolled up on that third down. It was the tank screen, and the Patriots defense.
One where he bobbled it.
No, I don't think maybe, but it was the one. It was the one where the Patriots knew it was going to be a screen, and their defensive end peeled off and tackled Tank, and then as he was tackling Tank, they rolled up on Hutchinson. And Hutchinson was and laid on the ground for a second. I was like, oh God, he's done for the year. That looked terrible, but he was back out there. I think
there was one that was one of the most awkward conversions ever, where Bobby threw that sideways pass to Tank and he kind of bobbled it, and then he ended up getting 3 yards somehow. Yeah, that was probably like a frustrating play for a lot of Bobby folks.
I mean, the Bobby bitching was at its highest in the second quarter, but nobody said a damn thing in the second half.
If I ask Bobby Slowik for a question about Xavier Hutchinson's blocking, you have permission to slap me in the face, and you can put powder on your hand and slap me in the face. If I ask an Xavier Hutchinson blocking question on Thursday, you can put the powder on the face and bitch slap me for doing that. Okay. Stoots might though. While Stoots is over there giggling, Stoots might.
When have I ever asked about wide receiver blocking?
Matt Maher, back to the super.
Swarm.
You started Hutch in fantasy this week.
He put up good cardio
numbers. That's a diehard right there.
How deep is this league? Is it 32 teams?
Yeah. How many teams are in your league, Matt? That's a diehard Texans fan, though, right there. He actually, I think what Matt is waiting for on his fantasy team. Shout out to Matt. Love to meet you when you're in town for the Lions game. If y'all are ever at the games, let us know. We like to work the lot a little bit. Stoots works a lot different than me. I'm just going to get barbecue and stuff. I don't know what the hell he's up to. He goes to a lot of truck stops too. But what was I even saying? What's wrong with me today?
Something about Matt Maher's.
It's been a long weekend. Something
about his fantasy team.
Oh, he's waiting he's waiting for Blake Fisher to become tight end eligible. All this reporting, he's bugging his commissioner right now, trying to get Blake Fisher to start at tight end for him. He's eligible. It's only a 12 man. He started Hutch. That's a diehard Texans fan right there.
He says I tried to big brain it.
Well, keeping it real goes wrong sometimes. Trust me, I know.
I'm not in love with Kendrick Green, the fullback.
I think he's going to score a touchdown this year.
Really?
I think there will be a fat man Kendrick Green touchdown. I think they will try to have some fun on the goal line, and there will be a play action fat man Kendrick Green touchdown. Mark this. They will have some fun at a certain point this year, and there will be, you mark this, there will be a fat man Kendrick Green touchdown, or can I say a Blake Fisher too? One of those guys will score a touchdown. One of the offensive linemen will score a touchdown this year. Bobby will go in his bag for that.
Okay. I put it down as a mark. We will not need to revisit this.
Okay. H-Town TD 2000 in the super chat on a Reaction Monday.
Swarm.
Uh-oh. God, I'm telling you, man. This got in the stream. Thoughts on Schultz? Bobble pass, drop pass, caused the INT. Strange game for Dalton. But they don't use him like they did last year. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for all you do, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Not a good game for Dalton.
It really hasn't been an awesome season. He did have some big third down catches last week. He was banged up early on. But yeah, it hasn't been great for Dalton Schultz. He's the new Bobby. That's who people are mad at. You got to try hard to be mad at someone. It's not like you rely on Dalton Schultz, but it does seem like the people are upset with Dalton Schultz right now.
Yeah, he's the new target of everybody's ire. He has a day where he's got a little bit of a miscommunication. He doesn't catch this, he doesn't do that, and everybody thinks he sucks now.
All right, let's go on to Green Bay here on Reaction Monday. Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. Things to watch heading into the Green Bay. We've already talked about the injuries. The injuries are, you might be extremely thin at linebacker, and you're already kind of thin at safety because Jimmy Ward got hurt. That intermediate passing game, which many of us fear, which has shown signs, hasn't cost you too many games, but many people fear that could be on display in probably your toughest game of the year, right? I mean, I would say so far going to Green Bay, toughest game of the year, maybe.
Toughest game to date.
Because Buffalo didn't have Shakir. They were missing. They were banged up. So were the Texans. But going to Lambeau Field it's a tough thing. If you'd have gone to Buffalo, maybe say that.
Well,
Green Bay's tough.
You're going into this one, and it's a high-powered passing attack. Jordan Love's tied for 2 in touchdown passes in the league, and he missed 2 games. And you're missing one of your starting corners, so it's a very tough matchup.
For now, we don't know how serious the Lassiter is.
I'd be surprised if he plays, but
shoulder's not really something you mess with.
No.
Yeah, so there's that. There's offensively, I think you're fine. Tunsil will be what to watch. Is Tunsil going to be okay? But I would not bet on the Texans in this game, but I wouldn't confidently bet on the Packers either, if that makes sense. I feel like the Texans have shown a lot of just winning abilities this season where they can play like crap and win. They can play in a trap game and still win by 20 points and you not feel like they completely dominated. And then they just seem to find ways to win with different styles. And the other thing is this. We've gotten 2 sample sizes of Joe Mixon in the lineup from beginning to end. Now, technically, they took him out yesterday, but had they needed him, they would have gotten Joe Mixon. He would have been on the field. It's just it's hard to look at the other 4 games where Mixon played shortly against Chicago and then wasn't out there and compare that football team to the football team we see with him. I think a case can be made. I'll end this on a hot take. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
You sure?
How hot is this going to be? Could I warm up my breakfast with it?
Maybe. I don't think it. I don't even think. I feel pretty confident in saying it, actually.
Okay.
With the layout of this squad, with this Texans squad, like where the depth charts are at each position, I actually think Joe Mixon might be more important than Nico Collins.
I can agree.
There's no Tank Dell and Stefon Diggs after Joe Mixon. It's a huge drop off, and he improves. Like with Nico out, Joe Mixon, he's still a threat in the receiving game. He's a threat in the run game. Your biggest concern on offense is offensive line, and Joe Mixon is a guy who makes that offensive line better. He adds just a contagious element of toughness. DeMeco Ryans just said he's the best competitor he's been around. Think about that. I mean, just go through the career of DeMeco Ryans and list the guy. He might be the best competitor I've been around. That's what DeMeco Ryans said about Joe Mixon. I think you can make a case, and this isn't to take anything away from Nico. This is just an embarrassment of riches that we're dealing with around here with the 5-1 football team. I think you make a case Joe Mixon is more valuable to this squad than Nico Collins.
I hear your case, and I feel like there's a lot of validity to it. And it's really not that hot of a take. I mean, you saw what the rushing attack was without Joe Mixon, and you see what the rushing attack is with Joe Mixon, and you see how much easier things are when Joe Mixon's in there, even if he's not getting the football.
In the life of Colby, says Landry making content by saying he's not betting on the Texans. I mean, if I was going to bet on the Texans, I'd tell you to bet on the Texans. I can promise. There's no content when it comes to money and telling people to bet. if I tell you I'm making a bet, then we're going down together or it's going up. Pause. But there's no content to it. I don't feel overly confident in this game. I don't feel great. This is one I would sit out. I made one bet this week. One bet. And I actually ended up making a last second when I took the Texans over 21.5 point total at -130. But I had Gunnar Helm over 31 yards, and he had that start of third quarter. That was it. But no, I don't feel confident in the bet, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, picking a side right now without knowing some of the injury concerns of the Texans is tough to do. But Josh Jacobs hasn't been amazing, but he's a really solid running back. They can get things going on the ground there in Green Bay, and they've got a bunch of wide receivers that they can get the ball to. And
look, I'm a sicko. I'll find a way to bet on it.
Right. Yeah.
I'll find a way to bet on it. I'm just saying right now with where this is at, unless you're betting on Green Bay, why would you bet on the Texans when you don't know if they're going to have any linebackers? They might not have Alshire and Henry To'oTo'o. Right. That's crazy. They might not have Kamari Lassiter. Now, if stuff goes on and maybe it goes up to 3.5, maybe it goes down, whatever. There's that, but I don't feel comfortable making that wager, to be completely honest with you. That's just where I'm at on that.
And if you're not gonna, I mean, they've got a lot of weaponry at wide receiver, and they've got a really good head coach that can exploit your weaknesses. And if you thought it was under attacked, the safeties on the Texans defense, if you thought they were under attacked the past couple of weeks, LaFleur's not leaving those guys unpicked on in this matchup. He's going to have them getting picked on a ton in this matchup.
One thing I will say that we have not had this year, we haven't had the sting game. It's going to happen at some point. Yep. Now, a lot of people are talking about Derek Stingley got burned the other day, and Derek Stingley got burned, and it should have been a touchdown. There will be a sting game. Yeah, yesterday we got the Will Anderson game, and maybe that's a sign of more things to come. There will be a sting game. So maybe they watch that tape and they say, oh, we can really challenge this 24. Yeah. Kind of a good ballpark.
I would caution against that.
Yeah, especially if the D'Angelo Ross is on the other side. But if you feel confident in going against Derek Stingley, there will be a sting game. Nathan Palmer says we're the best team in Texas, not even close. I mean, come on. What is this, first take? Like, no kidding. Was that a first take topic today? I don't watch first take. I could see that. Are the Texans now the class of Texas. The NFL in Texas?
Are the Texans on top in Texas? Dallas, you have a problem. It's Houston.
T digs quietly, top 3 catches and top 10 in yards. He's solid, man. He's just doing what they're asking him to do. How about Devin White? I don't know how Devin White fits into what they do. I don't think he does. I also think that if Devin White were still good,
the Eagles would have kept him.
Yeah, I don't think that the Eagles tend to have a decent grasp of talent. It just feels like I don't want to say they're like Ravens of like that long stretch where the Ravens were just finding player after player after player after player. And if the Ravens drafted someone, I was like, damn, really wanted him. He's going to be good. But the Eagles do seem to have a good grasp of talent. So there's that.
It feels like Nick Caserio and Howie Roseman have a pretty decent relationship too. So I got to imagine when a guy's a totally healthy scratch for the first few weeks of the season and a team gets rid of him, that doesn't bode well for his usefulness.
Yes, you are right. The Cowboys are not good. That is a fact, no doubt.
And even if you added a linebacker like today, I mean, is he going to be ready to play on Sunday? Outside of just being a body? I don't think so.
MH, we eat nation. It will be a shootout if the D doesn't show up. If the D doesn't show up, it'll be a shootout. Okay. So, John Wayne Bobbitt, shootout. That's a dated reference for a lot of these folks, man. I'm aging myself. God.
When's he getting a documentary? I feel like everybody gets documentaries.
Is there much to the story? His wife got mad and cut his dong off. Like, I don't think there's like it's not like a mystery. Like, it was never like you usually get a documentary if there's like well, maybe this Aaron Hernandez guy is a bad guy. And how is he getting away with it? Did OJ Simpson really do it? She cut his dong off. It was pretty cut and dry. I don't know if there's a documentary to that.
Yeah, well,
like it could maybe be a commercial. Like a 30-second.
I you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to make any sort of. Never mind.
Demon. What if it's Timon?
It's Timon.
How do you know?
Because he's been on the channel before.
So you asked him how to pronounce his name?
Correct, because I forgot it one time.
See, you're polite. Packers also have to play the 5-1 Texans. It'll be a great game. No, it's sick. And this is the other thing I like about this. And maybe this is just me being like a little bit of a football whore and kind of a romantic when it comes to these types of things. Doesn't it just look kind of better on the TV screen when it's at Lambeau Field? Like, doesn't it just seem kind of cool? Now, the one thing I don't like is it's Nance and Romo. I feel like the CBS A team is actually like their 6th best broadcast duo. But outside of Nance and Romo calling the game, and I guess it makes it sound bigger. I just think the nostalgia of the whole Lambeau Field, even though it's not going to be snowing, which I'm okay with. I think it just looks cool, man. That grass, the Lambeau Leap. Who's the Texan most likely to do a Lambeau Leap?
Tank.
No way.
Are you saying he can't get up?
Oh, he can get up there. Yeah,
Joe.
I bet Tank can dunk.
Joe Mixon.
I think Joe Mixon's more of a throw the football against the wall and yell at the crowd type of guy than a Lambeau Leap. I think he's more of like the spike the ball there type of vibe.
As soon as he scored on the receiving touchdown and he just dropped the ball right there and just went back to the sideline. I love when guys do that. I don't like the excessive. I like to just drop it and go.
You know who scored a touchdown this week?
Who scored a touchdown this week?
Cade Stover. He's scoring his first career touchdown this week.
And he's getting a Lambeau Leap in?
Nope.
No.
He's just gonna chill and maybe do a little bit of a flex. It's Big Ten country, man. It's,
okay.
It's his neck of the woods. Cade Stover touchdown. Probably not, but yeah, that would be cool. Most likely the Lambeau Leap is
Diggs maybe?
Maybe Kalen Bolick on an interception touchdown.
Jeez, look at you calling a pick six on a Monday.
Kalen Bolick, pick six, jump in the stands, do his thing. By the way, Big Ten country for CJ too. He's going back there too. I know there's probably some Wisconsin fans not too fond of the Ohio State thing. So We'll see how it goes, man. Been fun. Did we leave anything out, Cody? Did we miss out on anything? I feel like we probably did a little more than we probably should have based on some of the content that I put out there today.
Well, no, we did a good job talking about Mario Edwards. He deserved to get mentioned, and we dissected the lull and took care of everything. So if you showed up late, start it over.
Start it over or download it on the podcast forums.
Yep, that'll be up later today.
Appreciate y'all for coming through. All love around here. We're going to go to practice. We're actually about to be on TV. I'm still on the show with this shirt. Unless you want to step your game up and try to stand out, I'm going to be on that TV screen outshining Cody.
Yeah, it's the KPRC app.
Yep.
Click to Houston app. You can watch it live at 11.
YouTube too. We'll be there.
Oh, it's live
on
YouTube too. Okay.
Appreciate y'all for coming through. Always remember, when it comes to this Texans stuff, we are all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Young show.